And again, if you're going to know you're going to go out and have a party, then try and balance your calories for the day. Think about maybe having more salads during the day so that you balance those calories that you're taking in. And the best thing you can do every day is exercise. People that have sustained long-term weight loss exercise every day without fail. It prolongs life, it improves your circulation, it's the #1 stress buster. Even if you're just getting out there and walking, even if it means getting away from your desk and walking around the block, just develop a good habit of walking every day. You can even get these little pedometers that measure how many steps you take. The American Heart Association recommends that you do 10,000 steps a day. So if you start wearing one of those, and by the end of the day, you can get home, you look at it and say, oh, I did my 10,000 steps, I'm fine. Or you get home and say, oh, I've only at 6,000 today, I better go out for a walk after dinner. And so it's a way to kind of train yourself into improving the amount of exercise you're doing every day. Of course, balancing your diet will help you to manage your weight, but also help you decrease your risk for chronic disease because of the whole insulin and inflammation connection. One way you can also monitor yourself is to keep a diet diary and an exercise log. So writing down what you eat every day is really an enlightening experience. If you do it every day for a week, you will be amazed at really what you're eating and what you're not eating. The days you skip meals, the days that you eat something you shouldn't, the days you think you're getting enough protein in your diet and you look at your day and you're really not. So it's really helpful to keep a diet diary. That's another habit of successful weight management, is keeping a diet diary. And it's helping to monitor yourself, what you eat, what you drink, your activity, your exercise. You can even include, what time you went to sleep, what time you wake up. Stress is really the enemy of our healthy body. Stress causes us to release cortisol. Cortisol increases blood sugar. Cortisol increases insulin. Cortisol is pro-inflammatory in some ways if we have too much of it or too little of it. So it can even impact our sleep. If we have high cortisol levels at night, you're going to have a really difficult time falling asleep. Our cortisol is supposed to be highest right in the morning when we wake up. It kind of helps our brain to wake up in the morning and get us ready to stand up out of bed and get our blood pumping so that we can get blood to our brains and we don't stand up and fall over. So cortisol is important in the morning. So if you're one of those people that have a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning, it might be that your cortisol is too low in the morning. And then if you have a hard time shutting your brain off at night, it may be that your cortisol is too high at night. And there are some tests, the salivary hormone tests, that you can actually measure cortisol. So if you have a naturopathic doctor you're working with, you can actually get that information. It's one of the tests I do routinely in my practice. I find that it's the most bang for the buck in terms of a test that can give us a lot of information and help someone make good choices. Because a test should give you information to help you make a choice. If it's not telling you, okay, I need to do this versus that, then why spend the money for the test? So another part of this is having a positive mental attitude. Don't should on yourself. Oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that. You want to avoid that. You want to be kind to yourself. You want to be around people that are going to support you and support your choices. And the more that you start making positive choices in your life, the more you're going to draw people into your life that also reinforce those positive changes. Be realistic about what your short-term and long-term goals are. Again, you don't want to do that, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds in a month. Because if you do that, you're probably losing muscle, because muscle weighs more than fat. And so if you're losing 20 pounds in a month, you end up going to gain it back and then some the following month. So you want to have realistic goals, reward yourself for a job well done. A lot of people find that journaling can help them. Morning pages, the whole artist's way, writing things down, being able to go back and look at what you were feeling and what you were doing a month ago or 2 months ago versus what you're doing today can be very helpful. And visualize yourself. You know, think as if you are already there. You know, they did studies with people that were hospitalized for depression, and they said, I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to smile. Just look in the mirror and smile. Even if you don't feel like smiling, just think as if you were happy. Think as if you were smiling. And they measured neurotransmitter levels and found that transmitters, positive transmitters, actually went up. So even if you think as if, your body really doesn't know the difference. If you think about a scene from a movie and you think about a memory from your early childhood, your brain really doesn't know the difference between those two. So there's a lot that we can do to kind of help program ourselves for success. Think as if we're going to be there. Visualize yourself in as much detail, achieving your goals as possible. And that will help your brain work towards those goals. So at this point, I think I'll open it up for questions. Yes?
What about cooking with coconut oil?
Okay, the question is, what about cooking with coconut oil? It's interesting. There's a lot of debate back and forth between coconut oil. Coconut oil has medium chain fats in it, which some people find are really helpful. Certainly in Ayurvedic cooking, they cook with a lot of coconut oil.
Well, I have some because at the low, you know, like olive oil, it doesn't heat
Right.
to cook.
Right.
Because if I make popcorn, then I put on the stove with coconut oil, and then it pops almost instantly.
Uh-huh.
Because
Yeah.
it's not heating.
Well, it's important with your oils to know the heat tolerance of your oils, because oils that are polyunsaturated, like canola oil, can break down very easily with heat. And so they start to break down and create negative kind of compounds for our health. So you want to make sure that those kinds of oils you're using more for non-cooking type applications, like making a salad dressing. And then the peanut oil, coconut oil, and olive oils, which can stand the high heat, are much better for cooking with. And try not to cook with too high heat.
So coconut oil is good to fry bacon?
Coconut oil,
Just a little bit?
yeah, from what I'm hearing that you said, I'm not sure myself. I haven't looked at what the temperature difference is between, you know, what peanut oil can tolerate versus what coconut oil can tolerate.
Coconut oil is very,
It melts very easily.
oh yeah. And
Yeah.
like last summer when it was kind of hot, I got some like Spectrum coconut oil. It's like kind of like a Crisco, like, and it was all liquid.
Because it was warm.
Yeah, but it wasn't like really super hot, but it was just warm. So
Well, the state that oil's in at room temperature will tell you how saturated it is or not. So like, you know, butter is a saturated fat and it's solid at room temperature, whereas oil is unsaturated or polyunsaturated, and so it's liquid at room temperature. So that's the kind of interesting thing about coconut oil, while there's this debate whether it really is a healthy oil or not a healthy oil, because it has more saturated bonds in it, which makes it solid at room temperature. And typically, saturated fats are not as good for you as unsaturated fats. But coconut oil seems to be the exception to the rule. That still tends to be a healthy fat, even though it does have a lot of saturated bonds in the oil.
That's at 76 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to know what the temperature is. It must be above 76 in here. My coconut oil is all liquid.